interesting. He dismissed the suggestion that the United States is facing a recession. And he says, you're going to love this, that the economy is going to continue to grow 2.5%. We're giving them plenty of stuff to chew on. We've got traders at the New York Stock Exchange and the CME Group. Scott Bauer, I'm going to start with you. Do you agree with El Arian or Goldman Sachs? I mean, because they're each saying two different things. And as well, how do you prepare for 2019?
So I'm a former Goldman Sachs trader, but I do agree with El Arian. I think that the economic fundamentals are really strong. They're not as strong as they were 6 or 9 months ago. They are still really, really solid. And I think what we're going to see coming into the new year are the results, the earnings results that we're going to get starting in the next couple weeks. I think we're going to see some pretty decent numbers. Yes, expectations have come down, as well they should have. They should have come off the lofty levels that we saw. I think we're going to see some really good numbers. I think that we are on very, very solid footing here, and I actually think the Fed is doing a great job managing somewhere that we haven't been before, managing this risk that we've had. Yes, people think that we're not, inflation is not right around the corner. Goldman just lowered that, expectation down to 2%. I think we're in a good place. I'm in El Arian's camp.
All right. Well, and again, that would tell you that the economy is going to be strong. And, Teddy, that's the question that we've heard so much, especially in the last 2 months of trading, really since October when things got really volatile, is the markets pushing the U.S. into a recession, or is really there just a strong economy and the markets are disconnected from the strong economy? What do you say, Teddy?
Well, I think the markets are a forward-looking indicator, not a trailing indicator, and not the reverse. Clearly, cash has been king for the last 3 or 4 months. Most people don't view cash as an asset class, but clearly in this environment, it is an asset class. I tend to think that corporate America is doing fine and the U.S. economy will do fine, but there are so many other unknowns out there, and the markets just have difficulty with all these unknowns. I think caution is still the byword going into the new year. I think we'll end up okay, but we need to get a few issues resolved, and that's going to take some time. Until then, well, cash is still king.
I don't know, Teddy. Let me stay with that, though, because I would think that the one thing that could really turn the markets around, and in a big way, would be the China-U.S. trade war ending. Coming to, I know it seems far-fetched. I know there's a lot of mixed stories about whether or not the Chinese are really coming to play, and they're being, frankly, honest. They're going to meet their deadlines. But Teddy, that could be the game changer for 2019.
Well, I mean, if you're asking me that question, I absolutely agree with you, but that's one of the unknowns that needs to be resolved. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the Fed, and I guess backed up by these tariff issues. I think the given is that corporate America is in pretty good shape. The U.S. economy is in good shape. So that's not a problem. It's these two big unknowns.
Yeah, all right. Well, one thing we do know, Phil Flynn, is what's going on with the oil contract. Forget any inflation when it comes to oil. You got happy drivers out there in 2018. Oil losing 11% in December, down about 25% for the year. I mean, Phil, that's a good economic indicator, I would think.
Well, it's a mixed economic indicator. I mean, it's a good thing that people are getting low gasoline prices. You can thank the U.S. refiners. You can thank the U.S. shale producers. And that's definitely a positive for the economy. On the flip side of that, of course, if you look at the entire energy sector, the worst performing sector of the year, that's a big part of our economy as well. We are the world's biggest oil producer. Yay! That's another thing we did in this year, right? Yeah. So, and that's a positive for our economy. So we don't want those prices to get too far down. And sometimes that drop in price, like Teddy said, could be a forward indicator. It might be signaling lower demand in the future. Guess what? We don't have lower demand now. Demand right now is near a record high. It's still very strong. So I think this market's going to turn around in the new year, and I think energy is going to be a great sector in 2019.
You know what? I think that's interesting, Phil, because, look, the energy sector was the worst performing sector of the S&P, and then if it's the worst performing sector this year, what happens next year? It might turn things around. We'll see. Teddy Weisberg, Scott Bauer, Phil Flynn, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
All right. We'll see all of you in 2019. All right. One thing certainly moving these markets.